of Science Alliance. Hello, I'm Lara. This is Theatre of Science. I'm trained to teach science to A level at secondary school. I do stream free live lessons to home educators. This isn't that. This is the show. I research a thing, I chat about the thing, we do an activity related to the thing, and then I tell you a story in Lego related to the thing. And today, it's coming up to Easter, isn't it? So we're doing chocolate. I'm obviously dressed as bar of dairy milk. We need to act fast. Because what I want to do is, I want to melt some chocolate, just a little bit of chocolate, and then whack it in the freezer and see if by the end of the show we can see some of that. It's called fat bloom, we'll talk about it later, but you know when you get that white stuff on the top of chocolate, you can still eat it, it's fine, it just doesn't look very nice. I want to get that to happen, and it's always blooming happens until you want it to happen, it turns out. It didn't work brilliantly yesterday, so I'm just going to do the same thing again today. And hope that it works this time. So if you want to melt some chocolate with me, if you're doing this at home, get an adult to do it, frankly, because we're dealing with really just boiled water. And what are your adults there for if not to help you out with this kind of thing? I'm going to try and get it really hot. So I'm using a bowl. I mean, you probably melt chocolate in your house if you use chocolate anyway. And if you don't worry about it at all. You can just watch mine. So we've got a bowl of hot water in like a cup or a bowl. You could use a pan if you want, if you've got an adult with you who knows what they're doing. Plate on top of the bowl. And then I've got a couple of different bits of chocolate. Here's some Galaxy chocolate that I used yesterday. I think this will work with any kind of chocolate. If you've got vegan chocolate, that's totally fine. I'm using some very dark chocolate as well. Yeah, apparently if you cool chocolate down fast, then that can be what causes this fat bloom, which is what to want to look at. So I'll leave that on there for a bit. Hopefully it'll melt, and while we chat, and then we can go and whack it in the freezer. Right, chocolate. Before we do anything else, we did a show on this animal, which most people call the axolotl, I think, ages ago. And we found out, one of the first things we found out about axolotls is that you don't say axolotl, you say axolot, because they come from, what is now Mexico area of the Americas, where they speak the Nahuatl language. And in the Nahuatl language, you say the X as a sh, and it's got this lovely otl noise at the end. So yeah, axolotls are called axolots. And chocolate probably comes from the same language. So the story with Lego is all about how Europeans found out about chocolate and brought it back to Europe. But basically, we found chocolate in the Americas, and we're not quite sure where the word chocolate comes from. It was Spanish people who were the first Europeans to come across chocolate. So English gets the word chocolate from the Spanish. No one knows really. You see people on the internet saying that they know, but we don't really know. The Spanish might have got it from this word chocotl, I think you would say in Nahuatl. Chocotl. Oh, great word, chocotl, which actually means bitter drink, because they started off grinding down cocoa beans and drinking it sort of as like a medicine or a way to like help you have babies better if you were a man. So it wasn't a sort of sweet treat. Yeah, it was quite bitter, and it had spices in it as well. But anyway, chocotl doesn't actually mean chocolate, it means bitter drink. There you go. Nice little bit of language to start with. Right, oh, my dark chocolate is melting beautifully. My milk chocolate kind of let me down yesterday. I'm going to leave it for a bit longer. I didn't leave it for that long yesterday and it didn't work. I think maybe if I get it really hot, it'll work. Oh, it's so nice and shiny. Look at that. Right, I'm going to spread it out, because if I spread it out, it'll have a bigger surface area, and hopefully that will make it get hotter faster. Please, children, do not touch. Oh, I've got hair in it. Gross. Can't eat that now. Obviously, I'm joking. I'm just trying to sound posh. I'm going to spread it out, because then it'll have a bigger surface area and it'll get hotter faster, and that might help us. Oh yeah, I know what I was going to say. Children, don't touch really hot plates with your fingers. Get an adult to do this, or use a spoon, for goodness sake. What are we? Animals? There. At this point in the last lesson yesterday on Facebook, I just took that away and put it in the freezer. I'm going to try and let it get a bit hotter, because I think that will help us. Right. So the cocoa tree, the tree that gives us chocolate, is called the Theobroma tree. It's like its kind of official scientific name. It's a funny little tree. It's a dead spindly little tree with these enormous cocoa pods growing on it. Kind of almost like from the trunk, not really from the branches. Look, here we go. So it is found in the Amazon rainforest and in Mexico. Sorry, I'm being absolutely disgusting. I'm so sorry. The science is really out there on where chocolate actually started being farmed. So we used to think that it came from where the Aztecs used to live, sort of where Mexico is now. And quite often on the internet, and I think at Cadbury World as well, they're saying that that's still like where it first came from. But actually, then we found out that it was grown earlier in Honduras. Guys, help me out. Where's Honduras? Somewhere down here. Honduras. I'm sure you can see it, and I have lost it. Guys, where's Honduras? Well, anyway, they found some remains of it in Honduras. I should just blag it, shouldn't I? You know, like around there, where Honduras clearly is. But then it turns out, very recently, really, we found some pottery, and some scientist who was looking at the pots suddenly said, hey, do you know if they've got any traces of chocolate on? And they said, well, we don't know, we haven't checked. So they checked, and yeah, it did. So Wikipedia and places on the internet that get updated a lot are now saying that these chocolate trees really started growing in Ecuador. They don't quite know whether they just went out and picked the chocolate in Ecuador or whether they were actually farming the trees there. But anyway, yeah, so different. Okay, it's a lot of science around this that is still going on. But here's what the tree looks like anyway. Aren't they beautiful? So they're not growing with the leaves, you know what I mean? They're just kind of stuck to the sides of the tree. Here's what the flowers look like. So it's actually midges that mainly pollinate chocolate. Humans generally don't get on with midges because we think of them as nasty, tiny little biting insects. But they're the only things that can get into the cocoa plant flower to pollinate it. So they're super important. Only 5% of the flowers on the tree get pollinated and the others just die. But that's actually good because if the... You know, I'm just kind of talking about pollination like you know what it is. But the little midge brings some pollen over to the flower, kind of mixes up the pollen onto the flower. Pollen is basically the sperm. The flower's got an egg, and when the pollen, which is sperm, gets to the egg, then it mixes and makes a seed. And that is what makes these pods grow. Well, yeah, it does. So the seeds are growing inside the pods. Yeah. It's good that not all the flowers get pollinated, because if you had too many pods, these poor tiny spindly little trees wouldn't be able to deal with it, apparently, and they would all fall over. So yeah, that's good that about 5% of the flowers turn into pods. And when you crack open the pods, you get these white seeds inside and what we call the pulp as well. And it's only the seeds that end up getting made into chocolate. So there's an awful lot of waste in the chocolate making process, all this stuff. The pulp does get used first of all, but really, it's only the seeds that you end up eating. They get the pulp and the seeds out of the pod. They're so beautiful, aren't they? Here, have a look. There's no beans involved. These are not beans, but they're seeds. They get them, they lie them out in the sun, and they dry them, and something called fermenting happens, which we talked about when we did our lessons on fungus. Basically, tiny little yeast particles, like living things, not animals or plants, yeast that are flying through the air, land on the beans, and sort of to put it in a non-scientific way, they basically eat the beans and they give off carbon dioxide gas and alcohol, but make all the lovely chocolatey flavours. So what have we learned? We need midges and we need tiny kind of yeast-like things that we think of as sort of basically bean germs to make our delicious chocolatey flavours. Right. Do you think this is hot enough? She said, how do you know? Right, I think we can't leave it any later, can we, really? I'm going to go and put that... Oh, what do you think? Yeah, I'm going to go and put that in the freezer, okay? But I didn't do this yesterday on Facebook, but I want to do it today. I've got some water here. I also want to mix a little bit of water in with some chocolate to see what happens then. So I'm going to take that plate off, and that's going to go in the freezer in a minute. But to save all the heat energy from this water, I'm just going to put some more chocolate on there and melt that as well. There we go. Oh, come on. You only have to use one piece of type of chocolate, by the way. I just thought I'd experiment because I happen to have that in. Okay, right. I'm going to go and put that in the freezer. If you're doing it live with me, you go and put that in the freezer as well. If you're not doing it live, I've got a little puzzle for you because we're going to talk about how the crystals in chocolate are arranged. If you've got some Lego bricks or some cans that stack, can you have a think about how many different ways can you arrange these Lego bricks so that they're touching each other? Like touching on at least on sort of ideally 2 or 3 sides. So not like, I don't mean like just lining them all up like that. How many different ways can you arrange some Lego bricks or some cans that stack so that it's not just one side touching each other? Like, for example, that would be one that you could do. Or like this would be another one. You could, if you're using Lego or stacking cans, you can stick them together if you want, but you don't have to. So like that would be one. I mean, I guess that would be one, but that's kind of the same, isn't it? Just turned around. How many different arrangements can you make where it's not just putting them on a different angle? So for example, like you could do that, couldn't you? That's a different one. Anyway, enough clues. I don't know how many different ways there are. I bet there's loads. See how many different ways you can think of while we're freezing our chocolate. Okay, right, won't be late. Won't be long. Oh, I hope this works. There we go. So, yeah, there's loads of different things on the internet, and some of them are really scientific, and I think some of them have maybe got it slightly wrong. What happens to these beautiful little pulpy cocoa beans? Once they've been dried out in the sun, and this yeast has produced all these different amazing flavours, they get sent to a factory, the beans get cleaned, and then the beans get roasted, and all the little husky bits that come off the beans get blown away, and then that's when they get this lovely brown colour when they get roasted. And then you squeeze them, and you separate out the solid cocoa stuff from the cocoa butter. Here is a picture. Thank you, David Monio on Wikimedia Commons for this beautiful picture of some cocoa butter. So are you with me? You've got your beans, you've dried them, you've roasted them, they've gone nice and brown. You basically kind of grind them down and squeeze them, and this comes out, the fat comes out. So you've got cocoa solids. Couldn't find a photo because it just looked like cocoa powder. And this cocoa butter as well. And you've got to mix those together in different ways to get different kinds of chocolate. So white chocolate isn't actually chocolate. It's just fat. I don't know if you could make it with different kinds of fat, like lard, and it would taste the same. But yeah, white chocolate is just cocoa butter, which doesn't really count as chocolate at all because it hasn't got any chocolate solids in it. Milk chocolate, you add quite a lot of cocoa butter, and dark chocolate you add less, right? So chocolate has the part, obviously chocolate's got a lot of different particles in it. Cocoa butter is also made out of different particles actually, but it's got different arrangements. So I don't know whether you know this, I'm jumping around a little bit. Do you know that what we call lead in pencils isn't actually lead? What we call lead in pencils, some of you have done this with me before. What we call lead in pencils isn't made out of lead anymore because lead is very dangerous stuff to have around. It's made out of something called graphite. Now, graphite is just carbon particles, just carbon atoms. That's all graphite is. But, here we go, I'll draw them. Science. But diamond is also carbon particles. Just exactly the same material. Carbon atoms are diamond, and carbon atoms are graphite in your pencil. How it works is, it's just the carbon particles are arranged in different ways. So in diamond, the carbon particles they're all bonded together with 4 bonds. So they're really rigidly bonded together. Diamond, very rigid, right? Sort of famously rigid, not flexible. So it's sort of like that. All of them have got 4 bonds. Whereas in graphite, in your pencil, they've only got 3 bonds. So they're free to slip over each other. So you can get the same particles arranged in different ways, and the thing is totally different and behaves in a completely different way. I mean, I prefer graphite personally because you write with it and the layers slip over each other and some of those layers go off the paper. You can't write with diamond, can you? Anyway, it's called polymorphism if you can arrange particles in different ways to get them to be different types. And cocoa butter, just the fat stuff, cocoa butter, has got 6 different ways that you can arrange it, and some of them are more stable than others. So I thought, Lego brick thing is quite a good example of that. So if you imagine this is just the cocoa butter, I think there's actually 3 different kinds of particles in cocoa butter, but whatever. You can arrange the cocoa butter sort of like this, which is, you know, not very stable, is it? Falls apart easily. Or you could arrange it, maybe you interlocked your bricks or your cans. Did you think about that? You could arrange it like that, and this is very stable. So there's 6 different ways that particles in cocoa butter can be arranged, and some of them are more stable and desirable than others. I'm going to show you. I think it's okay. I think copyright law allows me to just show you one of my favourite websites. This chap is amazing. Compound Interest, who does all these beautiful, Andy Brumming does all these beautiful diagrams to show chemistry in a nice, easy way. Here he is, look. Compound chemistry, he's brilliant. Compound Interest. Thanks, Andy. I think you can support him on Coffee like you support me. Anyway, there are 6 polymorphs of chocolate. So there's 6 different ways that cocoa particles can be arranged. They're called, since 1966, they've been called different forms in Roman numerals because, you know, why not? So there's form 1, form 2, form 3, form 4, form 5, and form 6. Form 5 is the one that you want. Form 1 is what happens when you melt chocolate and then cool it really fast, which is why we've bunged ours in the freezer, because that's what causes this blooming, this fat blooming, the white stuff that you get on top of the chocolate, which is what we want. And then you get form 2, but they're quite crumbly and not very good. Form 3 don't give a very good snap. So it's form 5, what all the professional chocolatiers are aiming for. That just happens to be the arrangement of the cocoa butter particles that gives you nice smooth chocolate. It's very shiny and it's a nice snap. And this here is all the different melting points. So melting points kind of do my head in. While we're waiting for the chocolate to melt. Oh, it's melted very nicely. Yeah, melting points. It's not difficult. You know, there's just some stuff that other people seem to find easy and you seem to find really hard. For me, that's melting points. I just can't get it into my brain. So something with a high melting point means, and I'm saying this for myself as much as for you, something with a high melting point means it has to get really hot before it melts. So if there's any metal in the room with you, that's got a really high melting point, right? Because it's a solid right now. Here's a spoon. Metal, high melting point, because your room is like, let's say 20 degrees. Your metal hasn't melted, has it? You can imagine you'd have to get that metal really hot before it melts. So metal has a high melting point. Something like water has quite a low melting point. If you're in a room which is about 20 degrees, the water has already melted. It melted ages ago. It melted at like 0 degrees. Something like oxygen in the air, well, at 20 degrees, that oxygen's got loads of energy. It's already turned into a gas. So oxygen has a really, really low melting point. You've got to get it really cold before it turns into a liquid and then to a solid. So the particles in the cocoa butter have different melting points. And what that fat bloom is, what that white stuff is on top of your chocolate, is the cocoa butter that has the highest melting point. Wait, no, the lowest melting point. You freeze the chocolate and then it heats up again, and as it heats up again, the one with the lowest melting point becomes a liquid first, doesn't it? And then the one with the next lowest melting point sort of becomes a liquid, and basically they move around and they float up through the solid chocolate to the surface. Oh, I did it. I think I explained some chemistry. I think so. Did I do it? I blanked out for a second there. I think so. Basically, you've got little particles that have melted and the other stuff hasn't melted and they float to the surface. Whoo! Boom! Right, before we go to our freezer, can we add a little bit of water to this chocolate and see what happens? Do you know what happens? It's not a good thing to do. Usually when you're melting chocolate, you absolutely do not want this to happen. So chocolate has got, basically, it's got fat in it and it's got sugar in it. Here we go. So the fat is the cocoa butter. It's got sugar. That's not an S. And it's got this sort of solid cocoa in it as well. And there's a very complicated relationship going on because fat and water don't get on. They don't like to mix. Sugar and water just love each other. You ever dropped water accidentally like into a bowl of sugar and the sugar all kind of clumps together? Cocoa, the jury's out. We're not sure. So chocolate as it is doesn't have any water in it. And if you add a little drop of water, basically what happens is the same thing that happens when you accidentally drop some water into a sugar bowl. Bits of the sugar all sort of start to clag together. So when you put water into melted chocolate, the sugar starts to clag, but obviously the fat it's all been lovely mixed together so far, but the sugar is clagged with the water. The fat doesn't like the water and stuff starts to spread apart and go all grainy and not good. So let's do it. Here we go. Let's play which will clag more. Cheap milk chocolate or good quality dark chocolate. Oh, I didn't say that to them this yesterday on Facebook. This dark chocolate is Lindt, and it was Mr. Lindt, I believe, who accidentally left his chocolate mixing machine on overnight, which led to the discovery of chocolate which is really, really nice and smooth and shiny. Okay, so I've added a little drop of water. You can see, I'll just keep using my finger, don't I? You can see that the chocolate that doesn't have water in it is all lovely and smooth, beautiful. What happens if we stir this water in? Oh, it's clagging. Honestly, I think the secret to, if you've ever found it difficult to cook chocolate, just keep saying out loud that you want stuff to go wrong and you'll find it doesn't go wrong. So what I'm hoping, there we go, look. It's very claggy, isn't it? It's not what you want. If you do it enough, you can actually end up with like chocolate Play-Doh. Whoa, okay, so that's what I believe is called the sugar bowl effect. All the sugar is clagged together. And yeah, the cocoa butter in the chocolate isn't mixing with let's try this one as well. God, it smells fantastic. Okay, yeah, so we've got this clagging. What I didn't realise until I read it on the internet, so it must be true, is that, excuse me, if you add more water, then it unclags and goes all shiny again. Apparently, should we try? I've never done this before in my life. Apparently, adding more water will kind of loosen it up. And the reason is you've added so much water that you've got this sugary liquid now, and the fat particles are just kind of spread out, not exactly dissolved, but spread out in the... What am I doing? There you go. Solved it, fixed it. Excellent, yes. There we go. So yeah, that's why it's called seizing, isn't it, in the chocolate world. That's why chocolate seizes when you add water. Sugar bowl effect. There you go. So yeah, I've made it all lovely again now. Splendid. Right. Oh, do you think that's cocoa butter floating on the surface? Probably is, isn't it? Yeah, that's the fat. So I haven't actually checked these ingredients. I don't know if this will have it in. This one's got cocoa mass. There you go. Cocoa butter, low fat cocoa powder, sugar. Oh, wow. That doesn't actually have any of it in. If you've got chocolate and you've got the ingredients in front of you, you might find that it's got this stuff called soya lecithin in. I think that's how you pronounce it. The job of soya lecithin is to coat, apparently, the sugar particles so that... I've forgotten what I was going to say. The lecithin coats the sugar particles. Oh yeah, so they don't get separated from the fat, because sugar and fat don't kind of naturally want to be friends. So if you see soya lecithin as an ingredient, it's to bond it all together. Presumably this doesn't need it, I guess, because there's not a lot of sugar in here. Right, I'm going to go and get the chocolate from the freezer. Oh, and really hope that we've got some fat bloom, that some of our cocoa butter has risen to the surface. And then I'll quickly tell you about an interview I read with the actor who played Augustus Gloop in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because it just made my day. And then we'll do our Lego story. Okay, so it's still not worked at all, but yesterday what I did was, when it didn't work yesterday, you can see, look, I've got it out of the freezer, it just looks the same, but yesterday I put it on top of the hot water bowl again, and it did start, I think I started to see it. I started to see something white creeping in, so we'll try that as well, right? Oh, and in fact, so while we're doing this, and I'm waiting to see if any can you see any cocoa butter appearing? I'm hoping that the chocolate is going to stay set, right? But the cocoa butter, some of it is going to start to melt and therefore going to travel up through the surface of the chocolate and sit on the top. That's what I'm hoping will happen. I swear when I'm trying to melt chocolate, I get cocoa bloom all the time when I'm not trying. But yeah, anyway, while we're waiting to see if that makes any difference, I will quickly tell you about, I'm just looking over there to see, is that a little bit of, you think that's a little bit of bloom? Might be, mightn't it? Let's see how that progresses. The original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory film, I can't remember when it was made. It looks 70s, but I can't remember. The famous bit, the bit that made a massive impression on me as a kid, is the chocolate waterfall scene. So, you know, all the kids get invited to the chocolate factory and they go into the chocolate room, and there's a huge chocolate. It doesn't really look like chocolate when you watch it nowadays because we've got all brilliant special effects. But even when I was a kid, which was only in the 80s, it looked amazing. And Augustus Gloop, one of the children, falls into the chocolate river. I read an interview about how they filmed that scene, and you wouldn't do it like that now. Apparently the water was just really dirty water, which had been sitting there for weeks on the film set with lights on it, and like film crew who hadn't quite finished their coffee would just like pour their coffee in for weeks. The actual water is only a couple of centimetres deep, and the bit where the actor who plays Augustus Gloop falls in was just like a metre by a metre square hole. So the director had to have this proper serious chat with the child actor, like, dude, you have to, when you pretend to fall in, you have to land exactly there, because that's where the hole is. If you land that way or that way, you're just going to have smacked down onto like a floor that's covered with 10 centimetres of water. And this poor kid, like, just repeatedly throughout the day, because they had to do a lot of takes, had to just keep falling into this freezing cold water that people had just been doing goodness knows what in for weeks, hitting exactly this. So even as I'm talking about it, I'm like, poor, acting sounds horrible. I want none of that stuff. Yeah, right, let's have a look. It's not, I don't know. I'm very disappointed. I don't know how I became so good at melting chocolate. This has never happened before. Whenever I'm not trying, I always get it. See if you can if someone could just tell me what you have to do to chocolate to get cocoa bloom. I mean, I suppose actually the dark chocolate isn't the one I should be looking at, is it? Because that hasn't got much cocoa butter in it. That's mainly cocoa solids. But Galaxy chocolate, oh, I didn't think you would let me down like this. Nothing. Anyway, right, should we do our Lego story? I think we better. Just take my little purple scarf off so it doesn't get in the way. Here we go. It is the most dramatic start to a Lego story that we've ever had on our Science Show Live. I hope you appreciate this. Are you ready? Between 2000 BC and the 1600s, Britain went through the Stone Age, the Iron Age, built Stonehenge, got invaded by the Romans. Oh, it's our stone now. Got invaded by the Vikings. We didn't have horns on our heads. That is a misconception. Got invaded by the Normans. Saw Henry VIII come onto the throne and go, and Queen Elizabeth come onto the throne. In Mesoamerica, like more or less where Mexico is now, the Mayan civilization existed. That entire time, the Mayan civilization existed until Spanish explorers arrived. The Spanish had gunpowder, and therefore also guns, and cannons, and war horses, and diseases that the Mayans' bodies were not immune to. And the Maya had spears, and bows and arrows, and stones, and wooden swords. Even so, the Mayan people were so sophisticated that it took the Spanish nearly 200 years to defeat them completely. It all started with a canoe. So Christopher Columbus, who was actually Italian but was working for the Spanish, journeyed to an island on the coast of Honduras in 1502. And he'd gone with his brother, so when they arrived on this island, he sent his brother off to scout out for him. Here you go. Well done you. Come on to my little Lego stick. Here we go. So his brother goes off exploring around the island with a group of men, and they come across a large canoe filled with luxurious goods that the Maya people on board were taking to trade. So what do you think they did? What would you do? You're on this completely new island, you've met some new people, they've got all these lovely things on their ship. What would you do? Well, Christopher Columbus's brother and his mates went on board the ship and just grabbed hold of anything they fancied. So they took everything that they wanted. While they were taking everything that they wanted, some brown beans got spilled. Oh no! And the way that the people on board reacted to this, like it was a complete disaster, let the Spanish know that maybe these little brown beans that got spilled were very, very important, but they didn't know what they were. So they kidnapped the captain of the ship, who was too old, apparently, to do anything about it, because they thought he'd be useful as an interpreter, and sent the boat on its way. And that is the first meeting we know of between European people and the Mayan people, and it's also the first meeting of European people and chocolate, because that's what the spilled beans were, although the Europeans didn't know it at the time. Now, we haven't mentioned the Aztecs yet. The Aztecs actually had come along and conquered the Mayan people before this happened, and they were living in their Aztec empire, dog, you can stay, in what is now Mexico. And like the Maya, they really liked chocolate. So they would do what the Maya had done. Basically, they would grind up the cocoa beans and add some water and turn it into a little drink. It was often quite bitter and frothy. They added chili to it as well. There you go. Let's get some chili in there. Lovely, lovely, lovely. It's the Aztecs that the Spanish explorer Hernan Cortes famously visited in 1520. He wanted to meet the leader of the Aztec Empire, Moctezuma, but Moctezuma did not want to meet him. So what Cortes did was he marched towards Moctezuma with thousands of men, including some of Moctezuma's local enemies, came across a big city and just massacred thousands and thousands of unarmed people who were hanging about in the town square, left kind of semi-burning the place, and eventually reached the king Moctezuma, who apparently welcomed him in peacefully. Apparently Moctezuma was thinking, okay, I'm just going to have to be nice to this guy and hope that I can find out some weaknesses so that I can beat him in a fight later. So Moctezuma gave lavish gifts of gold to Cortes, which he was sort of thinking would make them go away, but actually it just made them think, whoa, brilliant, this guy's got loads of lovely stuff that we want, and made them even more hungry for power than they were before. And it's probably at this point that Cortes becomes the first European person to drink Aztec drinking chocolate. He comes home later and says that the Aztecs thought that he was a god or like a missionary of God, but some historians think that this is not quite true. Anyway, it's entirely possible that despite what Cadbury World says, it wasn't Cortes that actually brought cocoa and chocolate back to Europe. It's possible that some Mayan nobles went to visit Prince Philip of Spain and took him some chocolate. So we're not quite sure what happened after this, but at some point, chocolate makes its way to Spain, where it's seen as a medicine at first. It's quite bitter, but eventually people add sugar, vanilla, or honey to it, and it becomes incredibly popular, and eventually the recipe spreads all around Europe. And if you now enjoy eating chocolate in any form, that's probably why. The end. And there we go. That is the end of the Lego story for today. I mean, it was a very messy one, but I have to say that I enjoyed it. This is one of my favourite endings, I think, to a Lego story show that we've had. Right, I'm going to flip you around. Thank you so much for joining me. That is the end of the list. I've got 0 cocoa bloom. But at least we got to add some water to it as well. Sad times. Yeah, if any of you work out how to make cocoa butter rise to the top of cocoa chocolate, please let me know. Oh, the other thing I should say that I didn't say was that one of the reasons chocolate is so delicious is because the melting point of the whole bar of chocolate itself is pretty much exactly human body temperature. So you see here, there's the different melting point forms of chocolate. There's form 1, form 2, form 3. The ones that you don't want have got quite low melting points. And form 5, the perfect one, is 33 degrees, which is very similar to human body temperature. Human body temperature is about 37. So when you put chocolate in your mouth, it melts and spreads all over your tongue, which is what is so fantastic. Form 6 you can't get from liquid chocolate, but apparently all chocolate becomes form 6 eventually. It's like form 6 is the really sturdy form that eventually the particles settle into, and that's when you get cocoa bloom. So that's why if you get old chocolate out of the cupboard all excited, it's gone all white. It's because the particles have kind of settled into form 6. I know. Right. That's the end. That's all of the information that I want to give you about chocolate. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully if you eat any chocolate at Easter, you will now be a bit more appreciative of what is going on. I'm going to go over to my Facebook page now, because you'll have noticed there's no comments on these YouTube videos, but whenever I'm live on YouTube, I'll put a post up on my Facebook page saying, if you want to comment on here, I'll say hello at the end and read your name out. So sorry, if you're new, you didn't know that. But if you have got a Facebook account, I'll be faffing around for like 10 minutes now. So you can go over to my Facebook page, just Theatre of Science, and put a comment on the top post, and then I will say hello to you. Because that was actually my last lesson of the week. So I've got nothing to do now except hang out and chat to you. What I will say, oh hello Alice, you're the Milk and Chocolate Cow. Oh yeah, the Milk and Chocolate Cow. Oh yeah, I was thinking dairy milk because of the purple, but yeah, just put my little scarf back on. If you do happen to be new, and you don't know how this works, how it works is everything that I do is free. I've got a science degree, I've got a drama degree, I'm trained to teach science to secondary school kids, and I don't do that anymore because I started streaming free lessons in lockdown and everyone just stuck around. It's amazing. So I've just said, if you want to support me, then you can, basically. Like, I was going to stop, and then I said, well, if you want my lessons to keep going, sign up with £5 a month, and that'll probably pay my wages. And it is, because there's enough of you watching, obviously, because it's not Zoom, there's an infinite audience. But if you all give me £5 a month, then it's just working out. So if you go to my About section on YouTube, I don't know where it is. Where's the About section? It'll be the tabs at the top, right? If you go to my About section, or if you go to the little button on Facebook that says sign up, you get to this website called Coffee, where if you send me £5 a month, that keeps these lessons going, and also I'll send you nice things in the post to say, thank you so much, best job ever, look at me, look at how much better this is than being teaching in a classroom. So yeah, if you sign up to support me, I'll send you loads of nice things. I'll send you some rainbow glasses that make you see rainbows, I send you a little description I wrote about how they work, and I send you a past issue of Theatre of Science magazine. So I write Theatre of Science magazine, it takes so long to come out. It takes so long. It's just a constant source of stress and guilt. But do have the product of my stress and guilt, so I'm very proud of it. This past issue is on mould. So if you sign up now with £5 a month, you're getting the mould issue, which comes with a free home compostable plastic bag. So you make a little tray, put some food in, wrap it up, watch it go mouldy, see what different colours you get, and then you can compost the whole thing. So it's an eco-friendly way of doing that activity. It's got a comic and a choose your own adventure. It's got loads of information in it about mould and fungus. And if you support me with £6 a month, at the moment people are getting the sleep issue as well. So this one comes with some organic lavender, a little bit of fabric so that you can sew your own thing that will help you sleep at night. And it's got another beautiful comic about how our bodies sleep, and it's got an origami koala in there and a beautiful choose your own adventure. I'm very proud of this. That's amazing. So if you are signed up to support me, you're on the list to get the next one when it comes out, which is, I want to say very soon. It's written, it's on the computer, and now I'm just editing words and perfecting it and making things fit onto the screen, which is kind of the fun bit. So it won't be too long before it goes off to the printer. So if you are supporting me, I'll let you know when you should get excited. But the free gifts are arriving at my house. I'm starting to relax about it. It's going to happen. Laurie, hello. I'll change my name to Lorelei now because there's another Laurie. Oh, you go in with Lorelei. That's very kind of you. That's very kind. Thank you. Taking one for the team. Much appreciated. Lorelei, hello. Laurie. You love... Oh, Violet. I love this hat so much. My kids had a little cow hat and my friend really kindly knitted me this. And now the kids don't wear the little cow hat anymore, but this is still my favourite thing that I own. Hello, Maya. Hello, Maya. Anthea, is this what happens sometimes when you have a bar of chocolate, you open it, it has a weird powdery look? Exactly. Yes, exactly. Something with heat cold on its way from the manufacturers to my house. It actually it could be something to do with temperature, couldn't it? Yeah, you're right, it could be, if it's got too cold or too hot. I've really tried to look at the details. There's so much information out there about it. It could just be that it's got old, like that it's just settled. Hello, Jancy. Hello. No, I know. I kept reading, oh, it doesn't affect the taste. But for me, it really does. It affects the texture, which does affect the taste, doesn't it, I think. I'm so sad that this hasn't bloomed. Come on, bloom! It's made a cool pattern. I made chocolate waves, but I still haven't seen any bloom. You know, you got to experiment, haven't you? Oh, head rush. Oh, hello, Sophie and Emily and Katie and Hannah. They loved this show, but mainly eating the chocolate. Sophie wanted to show you her dragon made out of clay. Emily would like to suggest Harry Potter for a Lego show. Oh, I have done a Harry Potter. It was so long ago with my friends who also streamed free lessons during lockdown. It was on invisibility cloaks. Yeah, it was. I dressed up. Oh, it's all coming back to me now. I dressed up and there was an invisibility cloak exercise. I think it was good. If you search Theatre of Science, invisibility cloaks, it might come up. I'll try that at the end. This is a dragon made out of clay. That's a... Whoa! Okay, so we've got a real dragon theme going on at the moment in the comments of Theatre of Science. That's epic! Look at that nose horn. I don't know if that's a technical term. Look at the eye. Look at the different colour of the belly. That is really good. You can tell you know what animals are like. That is an actual... Look, it's even got like little camouflage patches for the sofa. That is gorgeous. Excellent. Well done, you lot. Productive day. You've never made that today. Well, it was a very productive day. Aha! Hello from the Goatmaster. I also just wanted to say that we think at least some of our 5 goats are pregnant. What? At least some of our 5 goats are pregnant and are due really soon. I mean, I feel it's not like cats, is it? They're not like wandering off in the night. Wow, this is amazing. That's very exciting. I don't know how you know that. Also, this is a dinosaur size chart that I drew over Christmas. Oh, do you like Tony's Chocolonis? Yeah, I do. Oh yeah, in fact, I didn't mention at all. We have talked about it in a previous show, I can't remember which one, about how none of the main chocolate brands can guarantee that their chocolate is not made by enslaved people. I mean, Nestle are literally the biggest food and drink manufacturer in the world, which probably makes them the biggest food and drink manufacturer in the universe, right? The whole world. And they can't say we don't use enslaved people to make our chocolate because they're not entirely sure what's happening down the line. I don't have any proof that they don't care, but they certainly don't know how people are being treated, like whether kids are being sort of tricked into working for them for free or for very little money. It's really horrendous, actually. So I like Tony's Chocolate only because they are really trying to really trying to not use enslaved people. Brilliant. Right, we had Galaxy Chocolate too. When we check the ingredients, it has soy lecithin. There you go. Wonder if that is to stop the fat blooming, if it's coated the fat particles. From Anna. Only been home editing for 3 weeks yesterday. Dude, welcome to home ed. That's awesome. My child's getting home educated downstairs. Yeah, I probably, maybe I mentioned it. I mentioned it, didn't I? The lecithin is apparently to coat, it says here, to coat the fat particles. No, to coat the sugar particles so they don't separate from the fat. It's to hold it all together. Because you've got fat and sugar and cocoa, which they're not naturally great friends, I don't think, which is why you have to do lots of melting and heating them up again to get it all to stick together. Hello, Aurelia. We tried to make chocolate from cacao beans once. It was disgusting. Couldn't get the beans smooth enough. It was like sand. Interesting. Yeah, I think you need really specialist equipment, don't you? That's what Mr. Lint did. He just left that cocoa machine on, the mixing machine on for like overnight by accident. Hey, Darcy, hello. Thank you for the magazine and the groovy glasses. Thank you, Darcy. Thank you for signing up for the magazine and the groovy glasses. You are one of the reasons that I am able to do this job. Laurie's chocolate already has the white bloom. Think it was left out in the sun yesterday. Oh, you lucky thing. Oh, that's brilliant. I wonder if we heated it up really slowly, whether that would do it then. That's what we were after. Yeah, it's so easy. It's clearly some sort of magic that only happens by accident and cannot be done on purpose. I think that's the only explanation. Oh, Laurie, that's great. Well, I'm glad. Yeah, look at the difference there. Well, I'm glad that we've got you anyway to show us. So disappointing. Anyway, that's when I was like experimenting with it. I got some cocoa bloom just on the side of the pan that I was using, but. Looking forward to it. Freddie received his magazine this week. That was super quick. He's waiting until he wants to do some science activities to open it. Oh, wow, Freddie. Nice. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It absolutely makes my day when I see a little new supporter pop up. Oh, that's so lovely. Thank you. Edmund recently had a go at making some Aztec hot chocolate with chili and vanilla as part of his history project on the Aztecs. Nice. Apparently it didn't taste very nice. He says he prefers modern instant hot chocolate with whipped cream and marshmallows. Totally fair enough. Lara, I have an important question. Can we eat the chocolate afterwards? Laurie, if you were in school, I would say, no, you can't, because we might have had... I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say it in that voice. I'd be deadly serious. I'd be like, no, my GCSE class that were just in here before us were using radioactive materials on these desks, and you don't want to eat that, so no, you can't. But you're at home. You can do whatever your adults say is okay. Oh, hello, Tiger Bird. We did a chocolate test where we tried all the different chocolates we could find over a few weeks and rated them on taste, texture, price and stuff. That sounds super educational. I hope it went well. I mean, how could that not go well? Hello, Sophia and Ava. Watching their first lesson with you. No, that's so cool. Are you still here? Sorry, it took me ages to get to you. I feel like we need to prioritise the new people. We need to look after you. Ava, is it Ava? I have a goddaughter who is French, who is called Ava, which is why I'm saying that name like that. But maybe you're Ava, so sorry about that. It's just because you've got a really cool name, like my goddaughter. And Sophia, hello. Abba's here. Happy Science Day, Abba. First live lesson, that's so awesome. You found me, that's great. Think it needs more heat when it's melting? Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I think that is what it is, isn't it? That it was just, yeah, you're right. You're right. Because that's the mistake, of course, that I make. Usually, I just don't ever feel like I can say to you, bring, you know, a hob and a pan. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think we were too gentle with it. If we'd heated it up quickly and for longer, which is obviously what I usually do. I leave some chocolate to melt, I go off, get horribly distracted, and then come back 3 hours later and it's all cocoa bloomed. Yeah, that's what we should have done. This is also my fossil collection, complete with a 2 million year old fish that I found in Somerset. Are you kidding me? And yes, that is a Fentimans Rose lemonade bottle. Big fan, big fan. Alistair, Elena, and Elia. It's Elia, isn't it? Elia. See what I... Sorry. We'll watch on catch up. Oh, they're not here. Hello. If you're watching on catch up. Hello! Elia! This is the bit where we get to you. And Elena. And Alistair. Hello! Hello! You made it. Pleased to see you. Not see you. That's spooky. You know what I mean. Oh, there's Tiger and Bird and Banjo. Hello, Imogen and Ophelia. We are really interested in this lesson and might have to do some experiment taste tests after the lesson. Dexy, I'm eating out of date chocolate. I mean, obviously that's not what I would do. I would, actually. We're all allowed to now, aren't we? In fact, we're encouraged to. You're supposed to eat stuff that's past its best before date because that's safe. It might just not be quite as tasty. You can't eat stuff that's after it's used by date because that might be dangerous. Hello, Laurie. Again, what if we refreeze it again? Try it. I think I agree with Laurie. I think we've been too gentle with it. I think if we put it on if we put that over a pan of hot water and then gave it a heat up on the hob, then we might get some chocolate bloom. That's something fun for you to try this afternoon. Hello, Casper, and possibly Iris. It was fun, thank you. Oh, that's nice. Hello, Shuki and Arza and Shuki and Arza and Eunice and Salah and Musa. All right, Violet. It's Casper and Iris and Iris's dog. Hey, I love you. Oh, I heard a lot about you. I actually met Casper and Iris in the real life just the other day. It was amazing. And we were talking about the dog. All right, Jacob. Is that... Oh, that's cool. Is that an umlaut? I think that might be my first umlaut. But it also looks like a shocked face. Good use. All right, let's see. Oh, Lorelei, your chocolate started blooming. Oh, I'm so jealous. So jealous. Great. There's Sophia again. And Ava. Oh, there's Matilda. I love the Lego Story Show. Nice hat. I really enjoyed today, Lara. Thank you. Oh, that's nice, Matilda. Matilda? Wait, Matilda? Are you in Birmingham? Are you in Birmingham where the Birmingham, which is quite near to Liverpool? Where Cabby World is? Oh, such a big fan of Cabby World. Oh, do any of you know the Silly History Boys? They do the most amazing podcasts. Look them up, Silly History Boys on Facebook. They're all about history and they're great. But one of the Silly History Boys used to work for the York Dungeon, which is owned by the same people who own Cadbury World. And he's my friend and he got me free tickets to Cadbury World. And it's the best thing that's ever happened to me because all of the free stuff that they give you was actually free. It wasn't kind of wrapped up in the £120 entrance fee. So, Stu, you're not watching, but thanks. Is that everyone? I feel like I might have missed some comments. I'm going to just do a quick refresh. And then go and plan all of next week's lessons. So next week on the Lego Story Show, we're doing llama versus alpaca, which was a request, which I thought would be interesting. Because I currently do not know the difference between a llama and alpaca. My name is Lara, and my nickname at university was Llama. So I feel like I should know the difference, but I don't. That was my fascinating fact about llamas. Right. Come on, Facebook. Show me these other comments, please. Because I know it's really annoying when you've just commented and then I go away. I just keep seeing Dexy eating out-of-date chocolate. Lorelai's is blooming. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's all the end of the comments. There's Jacob with his umlaut. Well, yeah, I'm sorry if I haven't read your comment out. Oh, I did just answer the question. Excellent. That's good. Maya. Joe, Daisy and Daniel. Laurie, there's Alice. Howdy, Alice. Oh yeah, we haven't looked at the photos. Let's do that. Darcy's here once again. I knew that already. Sorry. Okay, let's have a look at some of these pictures. So there's the awesome dragon. We've seen that. Whoa, the dinosaur size chart. Oh, come on. Whoa. Whoa. That's such a great idea because that's the kind of thing I see on the internet and I just go, oh yeah. And my brain doesn't take it in. If you drew it yourself, you absolutely would take it in. That's incredible. It's gorgeous. I'm being a little bit distracted by... Is that Lego? It's not Lego, is it? What's that? Is that Playmobil? Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's epic. Oh my goodness. Wow. God, I can't imagine how long that took you. Oh yeah, and there's the Bloom chocolate. Let's get rid of that. And, the fossil collection. Oh my days. So good. Is that bone as well? Nice. Yeah, we need to do a fossil hunt, don't we? And I've got quite a few friends now who run fossil hunts, and we could maybe arrange a group one. Right, yes, I'm gonna go. I need to plan llama versus alpaca and advertise it, and I need to make my homework for my IGCSE physics students, which is also available for free, and I need to plan next week's lesson about a Shakespeare sonnet. We're going to do a science activity relating to that as well. If you want to come, do feel free. And if you want to say that you are partly responsible for this happening, then you can, it wasn't that seamless, you can go over to my coffee page, click sign up on my Facebook page, or go to my about section of YouTube and receive wonderful things in the post, and then be able to anticipate more wonderful things when they are ready. I should go and work on that as well. Okay, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you all soon. Bye.